Good morning, Facebook, YouTube friends, and we are live on Zoom. Give me just a moment and we will get started.
Recording in progress.
All right, little after 9 a.m. on Saturday, and time for my credit boosting webinar. I do these once, twice a month. They're more of a follow-up to my regular Wednesday evening webinars where I teach people how to access different down payment assistance programs and grants so they can purchase with just a few $1,000s out of pocket. So most of the people I work with are able to tap into anywhere from, oh boy, I would say on average at least $10,000 that's out there. So available all over the country, actually areas that might even surprise you. So we've actually built an application, Zero Down Scout. You can pick it up on the Google Play Store and Apple Store too. So I'll probably give you a glimpse of that later in the presentation. But this morning, all about how to boost your credit and how credit applies to the mortgage world. So I find when it comes to purchasing a home, right now, there are a lot of things holding people back. So first and foremost, most people are under the belief that you need a large down payment. That is not the case. Most of the programs that we help people connect with will cover all of your down payment. So there are about 3,000 down payment assistance and home buying grants across the country, actually in our database at Zero Down Scout. So go out there and you can see how much money is available in your area. So from there, the next hurdle usually is the credit isn't quite in the best position. So that's why I do this credit boosting webinar. So it really is designed to help people get their credit scores up 60 points in 60 days. If you need a different level of credit coaching, never hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always happy to try to explain to you how credit applies to the mortgage world and what are some of the behind the curtain tricks that we use to get a quick spike in your score. So for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is John Collins. I have been in the real estate world for 38 years now. And before getting back into the real estate business about 12 years ago, I spent well over 20 years in the mortgage world. So that's how I know how to pull certain levers and what buttons to push with regards to the down payment assistance programs and grants, how to structure those transactions, and how to manipulate your credit to get it where it needs to be in order to get you across the finish line. So today we're going to go over the three credit bureaus, where you can get a copy of your credit report, and we're going to set some goals for you. We're going to teach you how they look at your credit inside the mortgage industry and what steps I recommend for people to boost their scores in a relatively short period of time. Like I said earlier, it's not very challenging for me to get people's credit scores up 60 points in 60 days. And we're also going to go over some of the best practices with regards to how to treat certain baggage that might be coming up on your credit, be it repos, collections, bankruptcies, foreclosure, you name it. We're going to touch on all of those things. And we're going to, in addition to giving you the steps that I typically do to analyze someone's credit, we're going to give you some credit building tools that are out there that can help boost your score as well. And we'll give you some ways to follow up, whether it's additional coaching to possibly get your credit score up, or if you want to take those next steps to actually purchase a home using some of the down payment assistance programs and grants, happy to help you there as well too. So, but like I said, there's three parts to the approval process to get people into homes. Number one is the assets or the amount of money down, and we can cover that. I'll tell you, the money for me is actually the easiest part. I know that sounds odd, but that's just the way it is. The second part is the credit, and that's what we're going to address here today. The third part is you need to have sufficient income to cover those payments for a new mortgage. So, and we can cover that as well. I actually go in a little bit more detail in that in my webinars on Wednesdays. And not going to have one coming up this coming Wednesday, but a week and a half from today. So if I had to, let's pull up a calendar here, that would be on the 17th is our next Zero Down webinar. So if you have registered for this webinar, you'll be in our database. We'll send out a broadcast text and emails reminding you of that as well too. So with that being said, Saturday morning, I certainly appreciate everybody's time for showing up. It's not easy sometimes looking at credit, especially if you know it's not in a good spot. And I've been there myself. So for any of you that are first timers, just to give you a small glimpse into my history, I actually used to be a principal in a mortgage company, title company. And one day someone came to me and asked me why some checks were going through an unusual account. And we woke up a few months later realizing that a bookkeeper had been taking advantage of us. And unfortunately, it was a tough spiral down and basically financially ruined me. But, still, I look back and I'm like, you know what? What a building experience. So it didn't seem like it when I was going through it, but we had to rebuild from scratch. So, and when that happened, I realized, wow, you've got 20 plus years into an industry. Do you really want to rebuild the same way? Because really back then, all I was doing was chasing dollars. I'll be the first one to admit that. And not really satisfied doing it. So it was always, for me, at that point in my life, to be the number one on a leaderboard for sales. And then after the meltdown, I realized that, you know what? That's not really what it's all about. And I kind of woke up and had this epiphany that I'm going to get back into real estate and teach people more than anything else. And by paying it forward and teaching people about all these different ways to purchase, the floodgates open, and I get to work with some incredibly wonderful people and get the most pleasure out of working in some of the underserved communities. So, so don't think that your story is unusual to me by any means. So please never hesitate to schedule a call with me. In fact, let me put a link in the chat box right now. And I apologize for people on Facebook, LinkedIn and YouTube. It's hard for me to monitor those conversations while we're in the middle of the presentation. I promise you I will circle back. So please type any questions you have into the chat box, and I'll make sure we address everything before we break today. So that being said, let's get right into it. Okay, so who is today designed for? Today, this webinar is designed for people whose credit scores are between 500 and 600, okay? Now, if your scores are outside of that, below 500, it's just a longer road, okay? Not impossible, just a little bit longer. And if your scores are above 600, well, you're already in the strike zone for a lot of programs that are out there. And these tools can help boost your credit even higher. One thing that I always tell people is the higher your credit score is, typically the more grant money we can tap into. So, or if you have no credit scores, if you have legitimately no credit scores showing up and no negative activity, you're actually not in a bad spot, and we can get your credit up there where it needs to be to purchase in a relatively short period of time. If you have been faced with a recent bankruptcy, repossession, or any collection accounts, we're going to touch on those today. And just anyone who wants to understand how the mortgage industry looks at credit and how to overcome some of those hurdles that you may think are out there. Now, why do I do this? Well, there is certainly a lot of misinformation out there. And right now, I believe the first one to say that the rental market is in pretty tough shape. So I find that most of the people that I tend to work with and identify with are in rental situations. And a lot of people that I work with have absolutely no intentions of purchasing. Heck, they didn't even realize that a lot of these programs exist, and they never realized that it was even an option. So I am absolutely used to working with people that don't have money currently lying around. So, but do have the ability to maybe save over 60 days. So it's not uncommon for me to get people into homes with less than a couple $1,000s out of pocket. So depends on what programs we qualify for. Okay. And like I said, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of people out there that'll tell you down payment assistance programs, you pay higher rates, they're scams. And I'm telling you, it's true. There are people taking advantage of it. I totally get that. There's so many scams in this world right now. Heck, it's hard for me to even answer my phone. So, but that being said, there are a tremendous amount of down payment assistance programs that are wonderful, ones that are forgivable after a couple of years. So I am actually located in southeastern Michigan. So I am near and dear to Detroit. Grew up in Detroit. That's where I do most of my business. So when it comes to give you a glimpse right now in the Detroit area, there's $25,000 down payment assistance, city of Detroit. Just own the house for 3 years. You get to keep the whole $25,000. So own the house 3 years, free money. Why wouldn't you? There's a Tobias Harris program right now in Detroit offering up to $75,000 or 40% down. So another great program. So tremendous amounts of money in southeastern Michigan. If I look across the country, Miami, 200,000. I just had one. New York, 250,000, and then LA had 160 the other day. So lots of down payment assistance programs and grants that are out there, and I feel like that market is only going to be improving. So anyways, the other reason I do this is I see a lot of people overpaying for credit, and more importantly, paying for credit repair that you just don't need to do right now. So there's a lot of artificial intelligence help out there for people. So our goals for today is to get your scores up 60 points in 60 days. We're going to give you the tools and ways to do that. We're also going to teach you how to identify areas on your credit report that are ripe for quick impact and help you add any new credit if needed, and set reasonable goals and predictable successful timelines. So all of that we're going to cover today. That being said, let's get right into it. All right, so understanding the mortgage industry, and how credit applies to the mortgage industry is what I should say. So there are 3 credit bureaus. There's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Okay. All 3 of these credit bureaus have credit score models. Okay. Typically in the mortgage world, we're going to focus on your FICO scoring model. And that's model 2, 3, 4, 5. I did hear 9 is another one, and then possibly 10. So credit scores can range anywhere between 300 to 850. As long as your credit score on the FICO scoring models are above 600, we've got options. Okay. Now, if they are below 600, there are programs out there. Remember, I mentioned a few moments ago, the city of Detroit, 25,000. Technically, that program doesn't have any credit score restrictions. We just have to get you approved for the underlying financing. So if we are purchasing a house, below $200,000, we can get underlying FHA financing where technically FHA doesn't have credit score requirements. So I was able to get people done with credit scores all the way down to a 540 on that particular program. So if your credit scores are below the 600, you do have options in southeastern Michigan. We just need to know what your story is in order to guide you best. So schedule that call and we can certainly take a deep dive with you. So we ideally want to determine your middle credit score. Everything for what we look at is based on your middle credit score. So remember 3 credit bureaus: TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. We are going to get the FICO scores for each of those, and we're going to pick the middle one. That's what they're going to use for your approval. Okay. Now, most creditors only report to 1 or 2 of the 3 bureaus. So think of it this way: the creditors actually have to pay to have your information pushed out to the credit bureaus. As a result, they don't typically want to pay for all 3, but they do pay for 1 or possibly 2. So it's not uncommon to see a line of credit, or a trade line, as we call it, showing up on only 1 or 2 of your credit bureaus and not all 3. Okay. So ideally, we want to find which one of those credit reports has the middle score. And we want to make sure your middle score and your high score are in the strike zone for the particular program that you're shooting for. Okay. So ideally, we want to isolate different opportunities for a quick spike on those middle and high credit scores. All right, next. So what goes into a credit score? There's basically 5 key factors of what go into your credit score. Number 1 is payment history. 35% of what goes into your credit score is determined on your previous payment history. So any recent late payments really affect your credit scores. So ideally, no late payments in the last 12 months. If you do have any late payments, not crazy to pick up the phone and call that creditor and ask them, hey, didn't realize I was late. I've been a great customer. Any chance you might remove that for me? And more often than not, the first answer on that call might be, sorry, sir, we're unable to do that. Just politely ask for a supervisor and climb that ladder. Okay. Just a couple of months ago, I had a lady that had a 60-day late with Toyota Motor Credit, and she followed that plan, and they didn't remove it, but they changed it from a 60 to a 30-day late, and we were able to get her done. Okay. One thing I do want to tell you is do not pay off your collection accounts you have to think twice about that. Think twice before you pay off your collection accounts. That's what I should put here. All right. Next thing. Credit utilization. 30% of what goes into your credit score is based on your utilization. And utilization is what is the balance on say a credit card in relationship to the limit. $1,000 balance or $1,000 limit, $500 balance, that's a 50% utilization. Ideally, we want to get the utilization below 30%. Sometimes people pay their credit cards off to 0, and that's fine. But if you really want to get the best bang for the buck, don't pay the cards down to 0. Leave a slight balance on it, like $10. I find that people get an extra point or 2 by doing that. Don't know why it is, but that's just how the algorithms are working. The next thing, length of credit history. Do not close any accounts while we're trying to get a spike in your score. So if you have an auto loan with a couple of payments left on it, don't pay it off. Okay. Reason being, once you pay that loan off, it's going to show up as paid and closed on your credit report. It could bring your score down if you don't have a lot of credit. And if you don't have a lot of open active credit on your credit report, we call that a thin credit profile. If you have a thin profile, you want that out there. Okay. Had someone a couple of months ago, paid the car off beforehand. Credit score went down 30, 40 points because they lost the trade line. So please do not do that. So length of credit history plays into it. Frequency of new credit is 10% of what goes into a credit score, and types of credit used. So that's credit versatility. So if you have a couple credit cards, auto loan, personal line of credit, that's versatile credit. Okay. So the versatility is there. You get a lift for that. Okay. So that's what goes into a credit score. So how do we handle some of the big things that tend to trip people up? Number one thing right now, student loans tend to tend to be the big elephant in the room that have to be dealt with right now. So student loans were basically in forbearance for the longest time. Forbearance means that they're just sitting out there. Okay. It was almost forced forbearance when we were going through COVID, but now people are getting pulled out of forbearance. Okay. So you either are making payments on the student loans when they came out of forbearance, or you deferred the loans, or you might have went into an income-based repayment plan, or you didn't do anything and they're currently in default. Okay. Now, if you've deferred your payments, we need to pull them out and we need to get some repayment terms on them. Ideally, we want to get those payment terms as low as possible, depending upon what the balance of your student loans are. So if you are in that situation right now, please reach out, schedule a call with me. I'd like to coach you on that. If your student loans are in default, that is not such a terrible thing right now. It's very easy to call your student loan servicer and set up repayment terms. So if it's showing up as a negative on your credit, if you do the Fresh Start program that a lot of student loan servicing companies are offering right now, just make 3 payments on time. They'll flip it from a default to paid as agreed. So I'm having people that are currently in default, say their credit scores are at 550. They make 3 payments. They set up payment arrangements, make 3 payments, and then the student loan servicing company takes it from a negative, shows it as a positive, paid as agreed. I've had people get 100-point bounce in their credit by doing that. Okay. The next thing, income-based repayment plans. So there are payment plans out there that can be based on what your income is. Sometimes they'll tell you don't need to make any payments. That doesn't really work for us if we're trying to get, a down payment assistance or grant or purchase a home. We want to get some type of payment. So call me, happy to coach you on that and how to get a $10 or $20 payment with your student loan servicing company. They may push back on it, but there is certain verbiage. If you just tell them that, you know what, I'm tired of watching my account balance go up. I want a customized $20 a month payment. So I've had people that have had $100,000 in student loans set up an income-based repayment plan of $20 a month, and that's the amount that we can use to get them approved in their debt-to-income ratios when purchasing a home, where the standard numbers are like 0.5%. So 0.5% of 100,000, that's $500 a month. So taking that tool or doing it that way certainly changes things dramatically with regards to what you could possibly get approved for down the road. Repossessions. Okay. Can't tell you how many people I work with that purchase cars on B lots, drive off, a week or two later, engine dies, and they can't afford to make payments on something unless they can use it, or they co-sign for a family member. Either way, they've got to be dealt with. Now, if they're over 2 years old and the rest of your credit is good, I have had instances lately where they have not asked us to pay them off. It's more the exception than the rule. If it's an isolated incident, it may not have to be addressed. But if there are other negative things on your report, we'll have to address it. Now, whether we want to reestablish payments with the repossession company, or if we can possibly pay it off, that depends on your budget. That I would certainly welcome a phone call to understand your situation and coach you that way. Okay. So repossessions do have to be addressed either in the form of a letter or something, possibly paying them off or reestablishing the payments. Bankruptcies. All right. There are 2 types of bankruptcies. Chapter 7, that's when you wipe the slate clean. By the way, if you ever have a choice between wiping the slate clean and reorganizing, wipe the slate clean. Okay. Just so much easier to get people done. So after your bankruptcy discharge for 2 years, we can get you done. So I always tell people, hey, after a Chapter 7 in bankruptcy, we can rebuild credit right away. That's the easiest time to build your credit. It's not crazy to get someone's credit from zero, maybe not zero, but maybe in the high 3s or low 400s the day after a bankruptcy is discharged, up to a 700 in a year, year and a half. So the algorithms, and that's what generates your credit scores. They know when you have a bankruptcy that you get a free pass, that the slate's wiped clean, and the chance of making payments going forward are 10 times easier. So that being the case, the algorithms are very forgiving as far as helping you build those scores back up. The issue is if you have any late payments after the bankruptcy, they will hit you harder than if you weren't in bankruptcy, just for the fact that the algorithms know you got that pass. So 2 years after Chapter 7. Now, Chapter 13, it's only 1 year. So Chapter 13, you put all your bills together and you repay a trustee. After you've made 12 payments on time to that trustee, you can actually get a mortgage. You can get a mortgage while you're in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Okay? I do it a couple times a year. So don't let anybody tell you can't. Now, next thing, let's see, collections. Whoops, this is the big one. This is where people get tripped up. Collections, anything over 2 years old. The lights went off in my office. So anything over 2 years old, let me make sure not too bad. So anything over 2 years old on collection accounts, leave it alone. There's no reason to pay it off. So we might have to pay it off as part of our approval process. But what typically happens is once the collection happens and hits your credit report, the damage is done. Okay. After 2 years, your credit has rebounded as much as it possibly can with that collection account out there. If you take an old collection account that's over 2 years old and pay it, you're going to reactivate it. So what's going to happen is it's going to show up on your credit report next month, collection paid, and your score is going to drop 30 points or so. Okay, so we don't want to reactivate those collections. Now, if you can call them and get a pay for deletion, that's a different conversation, but those are becoming a little bit more challenging to get. So best to schedule a call for me on those, but please just don't blindly pay old collection accounts. They're not going to help you. Now, if we get your loan approved, subject to paying things off, maybe you've got a $300 cable box bill. You forgot to return the cable box when you moved last time, and showing up on your credit. If we can get your score up, we can get you pre-approved. Some of the people, the underwriters who make the approval decisions, some of the underwriters might go, hey, we're going to approve your loan, but you have to pay that old collection off. Okay, that's fine. We can pay that collection off because we've already got your credit score up. We've got the loan approved. If the score goes down 2 months from now because you pay that collection off, we don't care. You'll be in the home by then. Okay. Now, if your collection accounts are less than 2 years old, it's always a case by case. Medical stuff, I would say just leave that alone. That is not really being factored in. If it's over $600, it could be factored in, but the lenders are giving us a pass on those. Okay. So those are case by case. If it's under $600, chances are it shouldn't even hit your credit report. Okay. Now, if you have collections that are 1 to 2 years old, we might want to run those through a simulator, and the simulators just tell us what's going to happen to your score when we pay these things off. And if it's 0 to 1 years old, those collections we want to look at on a case-by-case basis. If it's a fresh collection, by paying it off, your scores can go back up. Not to where they were, but if a collection hits your credit and your scores went down 30, if you paid it off within a month or two, your scores could retrace and go up by 15 points. Okay, so paying off fresh collections isn't such a bad idea. All right, next thing. My steps. Here are my steps to dealing or how to look at your credit and maybe fix some stuff on your own. First thing we want to do is go out to annualcreditreport.com. That's www.annualcreditreport.com. This is where you get your free credit reports. Okay. Get all three. If you have an option to buy your FICO scores, do it. Okay. Might be $30, but it makes it easier. I'd rather you do it and stay in control than to go out to a third party and pay someone or go to a lender. But if you have the $30, do it. If you don't, just at least get your credit report. We can see what baggage is on there, and I can help coach you from there. We need to determine which of your two scores are the highest and if we need to work on them. Okay, the middle score and the higher score. We want to focus on the middle and high ones and lift them to the desired area for whatever program we're trying to go in based on the credit bureaus that services. Understand the credit profile and what's driving those scores down. That's what I do. Okay, we look at those credit scores. What is driving those scores down? Recent late payments, collections, things like that. Okay, are these things that we can overcome, get around, or sometimes do we just want to manipulate things on your credit? Analyze the trade lines for maybe optimum utilization on any credit cards. Okay, you do need at least 2 or 3 trade lines in order to get some type of approval. So if you have nothing on your credit, there are options for it. We can get alternative trade lines, and I'm going to go over those in a few moments. A lot of times it might be good to run your credit through a simulator just to give us some ideas as far as what the low-hanging fruit is to bump things up. Now, if you don't have a lot of credit and you need to add new credit, there are secured cards, secured loans, or becoming an authorized user on someone else's account. And if your credit scores are below 500, we might want to start, or 520, maybe we want to send some dispute letters out. Okay. And there are actually, you can, in my opinion, what I would do is I would take your credit report, I would upload it to ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and say, hey, read my credit report, analyze things, and write dispute letters for a couple of the negative things that are on there. It'll do it. All you got to do is print it out and then mail it in. So artificial intelligence is totally changing the game with regards to credit repair. You don't need to pay for credit repair anymore. So the do's, the things that we want to do. After you get your free credit report, we want you to subscribe to some of the free platforms. They're credit monitoring services. Credit Karma's, hey, they're the big boy. I like them just for the fact that if anything happens to your credit, you're going to get an alert. That's what we want. Okay. I have a few lenders that I work with that will actually do an audit for you. So, or what I should say, run your credit through a simulator. So if you'd like that type of help, happy to connect you with people in that area. So sometimes what we want to do is, the biggest thing right now is manipulating your credit utilization. That's just like the easiest way to get a quick spike in your score. So if we increase the limit on your credit cards, let's say you have $1,000 limit and you owe $500. If you could get your creditor to increase your limit to $1,500 and you only owe $500, now you're at a 33% utilization. Your scores are going to go up. Okay. Now, if you don't have the ability to get an increase in your limit, you can pay those down. So remember, $1,000 limit, $500 balance, pay it down below 300. You'll probably get a good 30-point bounce in your scores right now. So credit utilization right now is huge. And the reason I say that is we're going into an environment where credit card default rates are skyrocketing. So if you have the ability to actually pay down your credit cards in an environment where people are struggling, you're going to get a bigger lift. Right now, I'm seeing people get a bigger lift than they were a few years ago. That's because you're a much better credit risk. You're able to pay your bills in an environment when other people aren't, and they're rewarding people for that handsomely. So remember I said earlier, pay your balances down below 30%, but don't pay them off. Now, if you don't have a credit card or things like that, or you have a thin credit profile, ask a family member or friend if you can be added as an authorized user. And it's not as difficult of an ask as people think it is. So the conversation for that, in my mind, goes something like this. Hey, friend, you know what? I got approved for this down payment assistance or grant program. I'm just short a trade line on my credit. Is there any way that you could add me to one of your best credit card so I can get a lift in my credit? I don't need any money. I don't need the credit card. I just need a little bit more showing up on my credit profile to get me across the finish line. Now, Who wouldn't want to help a friend or family member with that? It's just a quick phone call. Okay. So the other option is open up a secured card or a secured loan as soon as possible. I'm going to go over those in a few minutes too. If you don't have any credit, we might want to start gathering statements that we can get added to your credit report as alternative trade lines, rent, cell phone bills, car insurance, things like that. I'm going to go over that in a little bit more detail in a few minutes. And we can set up payment arrangements for anything that is up there. Any collection accounts over $2,000 that we can't get rid of, we might want to start payment arrangements before we send you over to the lender. It looks more proactive in the eyes of the underwriter who approves the loan. So those are the things to do. The things that we don't want to do, okay? We don't want to apply for new credit unless we have a high degree of certainty that we're going to get that credit, okay? We don't need a bunch of inquiries in your credit. Looks desperate, okay? So don't do that unless we know we've got a high certainty of getting it. And don't blindly pay off collections. We went over that earlier. 2 years or older, leave it alone. Anything less, case-by-case basis. Call me, happy to go over it with you. Don't pay off credit card balances. Don't pay them down to zero. Leave a little balance on there, and don't pay off loans. And don't become an authorized user on a brand new account or an account with any late payments. And right now, because I'm seeing a lot of it, do not employ the services of any debt consolidation companies. Okay, they are surfacing right now because times are getting tough, and they are not your friends. Okay, they will absolutely ruin your credit, and it's just not. If you were in that bad of a spot, I think bankruptcy is probably a better option. Okay, so I'll go. You know what? I'll go over why. So debt consolidation companies will typically take all of your debts and tell you, don't make your payments to your creditors anymore. Send them to us. Okay, we'll put your creditors on notice that you are seeking debt consolidation help. So now you're going to send your payments to the debt consolidation company for the foreseeable future. They will negotiate the balances down with all of your creditors. Sounds great. Okay. Lower payments, they take care of all the lifting. But what happens actually is all the money you give that debt consolidation company for the first 6 months, that's their profit. They're getting paid. And just when your creditor is about to sue you, that's when they start dripping the money out to them. Okay. So, and in the meantime, your credit's just going off a cliff. If you are in that bad of a spot, you might as well do bankruptcy, because anytime you do debt consolidation services, and it's going to show up on your credit, because the creditors are going to go, they're in debt consolidation right now. And anytime anybody sees that on your credit, they treat it just like you're in bankruptcy. So now you're going to be treated like you're in bankruptcy without the bankruptcy court protection. I think that's foolish. Okay. So try to avoid that. So next thing. All right. Credit building tools. All right. So here are the tools to get a quick spike in your score and to build credit if you have a thin credit profile. So remember, we went over the credit utilization and all of that stuff. Those are different ways to get quick spikes in your score, but there are other ways too. Number one, secured credit cards, secured Visa, MasterCard. You go out to Credit Karma, they're going to offer things up like Capital One. It's a good one. Basically what it is, you send them $300, they're going to give you a credit card with a $300 limit. In about 30 to 60 days, your score is going to jump 20 to 30 points. Okay, great way to do it. Try to keep your balance below 30%, okay, in order to get the best lift in your score. Secured loans. Right now, this is one of the best tools out there. Credit unions typically will offer this. And what it is, they will give you a loan for a deposit. So imagine this. You go into your credit union. You give them $500. They put that $500 in a savings account and lock it down so you can't touch it. Now they're going to give you a loan. They're going to put $500 in your checking account. So it's going to look like you got $1,000, but that $500 in your savings is locked. You can't pull it out. But the money in your checking account, you can certainly use that. Then what happens is you got to pay that $500 loan off over 6 months. Once that loan is paid off, boom, they release the money in your savings account. You get that back. Okay. Great way to build credit. What happens is most credit unions are going to report this as a personal line of credit to all three credit bureaus. Now, personal line of credits are one of the hardest things to get. So it's not uncommon for people to get a 40 to 60 point bounce in their credit, if anywhere between 45 to 90 days. Just a great tool for building credit. Next one, authorized users. We talked about this a few moments ago. Authorized users works about 90% of the time, okay? And the reason it doesn't work all the time is they actually put some guardrails to keep people from doing this about 10 years ago. Although they don't really, most creditors don't adhere to those guardrails all that well. So 90% of the time, you're going to get a quick spike in your score by being added as an authorized user. Next tool, alternative trade lines. Okay, so if you have no credit, okay, showing up, or we need to add a good line of credit to your credit report, we can actually get the last 12 months statements or proof that you paid your rent, your auto insurance, PO box payments, storage unit, cable, cell phone, renter's insurance, utility bills, subscriptions, Netflix, gaming, gym memberships. Okay. Sometimes we just need to have 2 or 3 trade lines. I had a gentleman, this was actually over a year ago, had a decent credit score. And the reason he had a decent credit score was he was an authorized user on his future mother-in-law's account. So they were sharp enough, they did that prior to meeting me. But he had a thing, so he had a credit score that was in the strike zone. It's like in the 650s, I think. But we didn't have enough trade lines. But he was a gamer. He had, I think it was World of Warcraft, Xbox, PlayStation. He had these $10 a month or $20 a month fees coming out of his checking account or off his debit card every month for a couple of years, I guess. So we were able to go back and get his bank statements for a couple of years, prove that he made those payments automatically every month, and we were able to get those added to his credit report to get him across the finish line. So he actually qualified, now that I think about it, a $10,000 down payment assistance program through the state. And every state tends to have those. Okay. Credit monitoring services. All right. There are several credit monitoring services. I feel like if it were me, I would be zeroing in on Credit Karma. Okay. They monitor Equifax and TransUnion. Okay. And then I would go to Experian. Experian obviously monitors Experian. That gives you coverage for all 3 creditors. So if anything changes on your credit report, you're going to get an alert. Okay. Those are, if you can't get into those, Credit Hero does a good job and Credit Sesame does a good job too. Now, credit restoration services. There are a few out there. Lexington Law, National Credit Care, I think that's rebranded now. It's a new company now, and I need to change the slide for it. But like I said, there's really no reason to work with credit restoration companies. Just go out to annualcreditreport.com, download your credit report, upload it to artificial intelligence, and just ask it to do it, what you need. Hey, please analyze my credit and make a list of all the derogatory items on my credit, who they are, the amounts, the date they're reported, and put it in a spreadsheet, and it'll do it. Now you've got all your negative items taken off your credit report, put into a spreadsheet. From there, you can start sharpshooting. Hey, I want you to go into that spreadsheet that was generated from my credit report, and I want you to address each negative item and put it in a format letter challenging the validity of it, and use whatever legal jargon is necessary to be in compliance, and let me know what items I need to insert in the envelope in addition to the letter to dispute whatever item there is. Something along that lines, and you'd be shocked. AI can do it all, okay? And again, I love Claude, ChatGPT, or Gemini. Those are the 3 big ones. Either one of them can do a good job with that. Okay. I'm not sure if oops, wrong one. alternative trade lines. I guess I did hit all of these. Good. Now, where do we go from here? I always tell people, best step, schedule a call with me. Always happy to learn your situation and put myself in your shoes and tell you exactly what I would do. Okay. Putting it in the chat box right now. There's a link to book a free call with me. If any of you are stumbling across this through YouTube, Facebook, or any of the platforms where we share our webinars, please, if you ever want to learn how to tap into down payment assistance programs or grants, you can go right to our website. And that is Own the Roof, OWNTHEROO. Whoops. There you go. Got to put an E in there. Own the Roof. So we have all kinds of educational content. We are 100% a pay it forward mindset. So if you go under resources, we've got publications. If you ever want a free copy of one of my books, just reach out to me. Happy to pass that along. There's no reason to buy these on Amazon. Okay. We wrote a book, No Down Payment, No Problem. This is how to access down payment assistance programs and grants to purchase a home with very little money out of pocket. I also wrote a book called No Credit, No Problem, how to get your credit in the right spot in 60 days using a lot of these techniques. This goes into detail. If you want to, it's probably way more than anybody ever wants to know about fixing credit, but it's out there. If you want a copy, just reach out to me. I'll be happy to email you a digital copy. In addition, on our website, in addition to our books, we have access to our app, Zero Down Scout. And what this is actually a database of over 3,000 down payment assistance programs and grants, totally free. Just download it. You'll see all the programs you qualify for. And reach out to us. We're happy to help you connect the dots on that. Next item on their resources, book a call, Zero Down webinars. Okay, next one, June 17th at 7 p.m. Basically, I go over how to tap into the down payment assistance programs and grants in your area, what approval criteria we need to have, what we can do if you don't fit into those boxes. We could always happy to help coach people and what you need to do to get inside those different programs, how to structure the deals to get in with very little money out of pocket too. And we, of course, what you're on right now, my credit repair webinar. You see today, Saturday, June 6th. Probably won't do another one for a couple of weeks, probably towards the end of June, actually. And in addition, we do have courses. Now, I'm not a reader. I like listening to Audible as I'm doing whatever chores. Or I'm in the car. So I love listening to Audible. So I'm not a big reader. I actually have video courses. So if you want a video course of my book, No Down Payment Guide, all you have to do is go to courses, and I have about 6 hours of recordings, all, 20 chapters going over how to tap into down payment assistance programs and grants. These are all free. Okay. How to fix your credit. I think I have a 4-hour course on that. So if you want a more detailed version on how to fix your credit than what we're going over today, hey, just go to my website, Own the Roof, courses, and you'll see there's the credit repair course. All you got to do is enter your name, email address, and it'll email you a link to get into the course and take it at your leisure. Some of these are designed to take over 6 weeks. You could probably do it in an afternoon if you really put your mind to it. And then for those of you that want to get into the weeds a little bit more, some advanced stuff, and I find that this works very well for real estate agents that want to know how to structure some of these deals. I have a 2-hour video course going over how to structure deals with very little money out of pocket. And these are more advanced maneuvers, high-level conversations with banks, how to get a bank or lender to pay your closing costs. Okay. Some people think that's kind of crazy, but it happens. I do it all the time. So there is a thing called premium pricing where they can get secondary market money to actually contribute to paying your closing costs. Kind of an advanced maneuver, but it's out there and I do it all the time. Okay. And there's other maneuvers. Heck, I just had one that closed yesterday. He was able to stack things a little bit. We got a $7,500 down payment assistance. Oh no, that wasn't down payment. It was actually a gift. So it was it was a grant. So at the time of closing, they paid $7,500 for his down payment. He just had to come up with his closing costs. And unfortunately, he was more of a high income earner. And so they wouldn't, some of these programs are based on your income levels and area and stuff like that. So because of that, there wasn't a ton of money available, but we did get him a free $7,500 and we were able to get a $500 credit for opening a checking account with the bank that he was going through. So I say that because it's not uncommon for me to start stacking things up when we need to. Okay. So for example, I work with a lot of people, like I said earlier, in underserved communities. I had a lady that was with any of you are aware of Section 8 vouchers. Okay. This is an area that I really love doing. Okay. She had been renting with a Section 8 voucher for years. Okay. She went to one of my webinars and she got approved on their home purchase program. Okay. Many housing commissions actually have a home purchase program and people don't know about it. Reason I share that with you is we were able to run the table. She had very good credit and she was buying in an underserved community. So we were able to tap into a $25,000 down payment assistance program. Okay. That one owns it 3 years. She gets to keep the whole 25. On top of it, we got a 3% gift program. On top of that, we got a $5,000 closing cost grant. And then we got a $500 appraisal grant. And they actually took care of her home inspection too. So we ran the table. We tapped into everything for, it was like $33,000 and some odd dollars for a $117,000 house. That's a lot of money for a $117,000 house. All free money as long as she lives there 3 years. And the kicker, we were able to convert her Section 8 rental voucher into a home payment voucher. And so Section 8 is going to make her payment for the next 15 years. Crazy. So that stuff exists all the time. And that's more things in my advanced how to structure deals with little money. So don't shy away from it if you want to learn. That's lots of educational stuff out there. So these are all free things, all at Own the Roof. Now, for any of you that are looking to just find and tap into the different programs, here we have Zero Down Scout. Okay. And if you just go out, you can actually go to the website, oops. There it is on the Google Play Store. Well, I guess I forgot. This is relatively new. This is just what I would call still in beta. We don't even have 1,000 downloads on this yet, but we will get there. So here it is, Zero Down Scout. Zero Down Scout will help point you in the direction of all of the down payment assistance programs that are out there. Okay, you just go out to the Google Play Store and download it. So if you find my programs, there it is, download. Once you download it, this is what it's going to look like right here. So I just ran this, I guess this is still open from my webinar on Wednesday. But what I usually do is the house I grew up in. Let's go back and see if that's what's in here. Yeah, Lamphere. I grew up on Lamphere. Shout out Brightmoor area. So Lamphere in Detroit, Finkel and Lasser area. So currently this basically showing that there are 13 programs available. the Detroit 25,000, Home Boost 25, 40% down payment. That's a huge amount there. So 10,000 from Wayne County, state of Michigan 10,000, 7,500. So all kinds of programs out there. Michigan Step Forward program, that looks like a newer one for 15,000. So not familiar with that one. So there's always new programs coming out. So go out, download Zero Down Scout and see what you qualify for. Always nice to see what's out there before you take those next steps. And please never hesitate to reach out to me. My cell phone number 248-252-7283. Easiest way to get a hold of me. I will tell you I am a self-professed phone jockey. It's not uncommon for me to just be on the phone all day long, and I am a chatty Cathy to say the least. So I always like to learn everyone's story and figure out a go forward plan for you. Whether it's 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, doesn't matter to me. Okay. And you'd be surprised how many people that can't do it today. You're never going to hear no from me. It just may not be right now, but we will give you the tools and teach you how to get where you need to be to tap into these, just so we can get as many people out of this renting cycle as we possibly can, because I feel like it's just a no-win situation right now in renting. So we are approaching the 1 hour mark. So I always like to be courteous of that. And if you have any questions, please never hesitate to reach out to me. You've got my direct contact information. You've got a links to book a call. Always happy to learn your situation and pay it forward. So let me check and make sure that we are good on this side. Okay, great. Well, thank you all very much for watching, and hope our paths cross again soon. Have a wonderful day.